This is the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino and SP3 on the Bleav Podcast Network.
And a good Tuesday afternoon to you and everybody tuning in to this regular Tuesday edition of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast here on the YouTube channel. Audio will be available later wherever podcasts are available. If you can't tune in and check out the entire show live, you can always go back, watch here on the YouTube channel, or you can go back and watch on like the iHeartRadio app or Google or Apple. Tune in. We are everywhere, baby. We got a lot to get into today. We are literally going to go down the white rabbit hole. If you've been hiding under a rock and you don't know what I'm talking about, I have dived deep into the rabbit hole, and SP3 is ready for all of my theories and ideas. And I mean, let's be honest, it's Bray Wyatt, right? Like, it's got to be Bray Wyatt. We'll talk into all, and God forbid it not be Bray Wyatt, because I think WWE will have an issue on their hands. WarGames is coming to the main roster. Fight Pit is coming to the main roster. Logan Paul is getting an undisputed universal title shot in Saudi Arabia. Bayley, Ronda Rousey, they're getting their matches at Extreme Rules. Everybody's getting distracted on Monday Night Raw. And then we got Arthur Ashe tomorrow night, 4 hours. Tony Khan SP3 is promising something that you've never seen before on AEW. He is absolutely promising to deliver in New York tomorrow, where you will be live. Where are you at as far as the anticipation levels for Grand Slam tomorrow night in New York?
On a scale of 1 to 5 stars, I would say I'm at a solid 3 3/4. I'm at a 3 3/4. I'm very much looking forward to the main event, AEW World Championship matchup with Moxley and Danielson. Definitely looking forward to the World Tag Team Championship matchup with Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed crowning moment, crowning achievement. Can't wait to see that. Rampage card, I'm so, but I'm definitely going to be there for Rey Fenix versus Jungle Boy. So yeah, I would say 3 3/4 is where I'm at right now, but a lot of good wrestling going on, a lot of very good wrestling on last night's Monday Night Raw. Couple of head scratchers, but a lot of busy news. WWE trying to take back the headlines from AEW after AEW had a stronghold over the headlines coming out of All Out. WWE is like, this week we got it back with positive news, yes. Unlike what AEW's do.
A lot of positive news. The second that Triple H, maybe not the second that Triple H took over, but we have talked about it on this show before. I think like the day or two after, I think it just hit me. I'm like, damn, imagine if we got a WarGames match on the main roster. And then Triple H said, 1, we're going to give you 2, and we're going to give it to you at Survivor Series. Sold. Not only that, but we're getting Fight Pit as well at Extreme Rules with one of the Fight Pit originals. Of course, it's the original bro, Matt Riddle. He was in Fight Pit 1. Of course, Timothy Thatcher is the man who was 2-0 in the Fight Pit. He ain't going to be in this match because he's not with the company. But we will dive into all of that. We want to appreciate everybody who is tuning in today. Manny and Safed and Queen, thank you guys so much for tuning into the chat. Make sure to get your comments in, your theories in, your questions in. We'll get to as many of them as we can throughout the show. If you're new to the show, by the way, make sure to pound that thumbs up button. Make sure to pound that subscribe button. We are, by my count, 39 subscribers away from 500. And the second that we get to 500 subscribers, one lucky subscriber will win $100 to either WWE or AEW shop. Your choice on us. That's simple. Got to get to 500 subscribers, though, so spread the word. Retweet my pinned tweet. It's all up there. Check it out. Appreciate you. Follow us on the Twitter machine as well. Handles are as you see them on the screen. And before we dive into this white rabbit hole, got to thank our friends over at BetOnline, the fastest, easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Get reviews and news for every league, including the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your information, from live in-game betting to props and futures. Go to BetOnline today or use your mobile device. You're holding on to the dang thing anyway. Join, make your first bet, and use our promo code BLEAV50. That is BLEAV BLEAV50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. And SP3, we got to start with the White Rabbit because this is what everybody online has been talking about over the last couple of or last few hours, pretty much since they started playing that Jefferson Airplane song at house shows. People have been talking about White Rabbit, what this could possibly mean for WWE. And then, last night we got those QR codes that were hidden in the crowd and behind Austin Theory. WWE has done a fantastic job of using the space in between spaces here to really sell something and reward the audience for paying attention to the tiny details, much like they did with Dexter Lumis when he first came in. Everybody was pointing and noticing car crashes and dumpster fires and things of that nature. And it really does make you pay attention literally everywhere at every moment in the show. You don't want to walk away now because you're afraid you might miss something minute, something small. And hell, who knows what might start at house shows now. It makes every show feel important, but this all started at those house shows over the weekend. They were playing the Jefferson Airplane White Rabbit song. They would turn down the lights, and then all of a sudden the fireflies would come out, people's cell phones, this, that, and the other thing. Then last night they do the QR codes. And I got some screen grabs, but basically it's this little white rabbit who dives down the hole, and we start playing a thing of Hangman here, and it's asking, who killed the world, right? And the answer, you did. You can look at all the little letters down there that the rabbit jumped on, and he hopped down his hole, and that was the QR code. And immediately this goes out, SP3. Everybody starts, maybe not everybody, people like myself, we all dived down this hole and we started doing searches. We started doing Google searches. We started hopping on this because why? It all reeks of Bray Wyatt. Like, this is exactly the kind of thing that WWE would do for the return of Bray Wyatt, who has always been this kind of Easter egg type character. Puzzles, riddles. This is what gets people intrigued with Bray. There's like a whole Bray Wyatt lore out there. Anytime he put out a Firefly Funhouse video, people would dive in and start looking for those Easter eggs and the clues and try to figure out what he's been talking about. This is hands down tailor-made to be Bray Wyatt. Oh, and by the way, there was the whole, I thought I pulled the photo, I didn't, but 9/23 this Friday at 9/23, something is going down, SP3. I mean, at this point, when you look at everything and the evidence that has been presented, which I will present some of it here in a few moments, this has to be Bray returning to WWE, right? Like, how could it not be at this point?
The White Rabbit, the lyrics of the song, and this video, that I like how they did it with the barcode behind Austin Theory, typically a segment that I wasn't really paying attention to, and then everybody online was like, oh, you should have been paying attention because there was a barcode that led to this. So I like the way they have done this and created buzz without it being a TV storyline, kind of what WrestleVote said in their tweet. It's a very unique how they have done this. But yeah, do I think this is Bray Wyatt? 100% I do. I think it was a clear indication when they had the red lights along with the theme music during Friday's taping, as well as during the house shows over the weekend. The video that played from the barcode not only had the white rabbit, rambling rabbit, a part of the Firefly and the Fun House, and then going down the white rabbit hole, is something that has been connected and stuff that Bray Wyatt has said in the past in promos. Not only that, with the video, there's also the clock that used to be in Bray Wyatt's entrance. So there is little clues, little Easter eggs all around that is telling us this is Bray Wyatt. I look forward to it if it is. And I think it's brilliant. It's very much brilliant on WWE's part. And I haven't said that for a lot of things WWE has done in the past 2 decades. So this means something when I'm saying it's absolutely brilliant how they have created this much hype for something that they haven't really spent any amount of minutes on TV doing.
None. And that's why I said it's a brilliant use of the spaces in between spaces, right? You have to pay attention to the tiny little details that are all around us. And speaking of tiny little details, you can look at this freeze frame. Focus in on the fonts for "you did," right? And for those people who are listening to the podcast now, check out the YouTube. I got the video, the photo evidence to go with this. But if you look at the font here for specifically around the words "you" and "did," and then you look at this old school Bray Wyatt t-shirt, it is the exact same font. Look at the D. Go back and look at the D. It is the exact same D. You look at the U and the and the Y on the back of the shirt. It is the same exact font. So there is number one clue there that I found and several other people found last night. Then you look at the hourglass and the big red circle. This big red circle has been on Bray Wyatt's Twitter headline, heading, whatever you want to call that there, for months and months and months. This has something to do with him. This is something that showed up in many sections of the video, that brief little video last night. Several times you saw that big red circle. That's another one that a lot of people found last night as two clues. And then there's just the whole thing about the White Rabbit itself, right? With more often than not, it's seen as a associated with new beginnings, right? It's used to represent the embodiment of curiosity and wonder, and it's all about fresh start, new beginnings, a symbol of purity. That is also Bray Wyatt in a nutshell. Then you can actually go back and dive further down the rabbit hole and look at the date of 9/23 in historical context, right? 9/23, 2017, some quack said the world was going to come to an end on September 23rd, 2017. Now we're talking about who killed the world, right? I mean, I'm not saying anything like that is connected, but there are all these like little dots. I feel like the dude from Always Sunny in Philadelphia right now, as I'm just trying to like put up things and connect the string in my board and everything like that. Even if you look up Luke 2:23, right? Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Like, seriously, I could associate any of this shit with Bray Wyatt. This is how far I went down the rabbit hole. This is how far people like myself, and I ain't the only one. I'm literally not the only one. And I'm just going to stop there at like all those different examples. When you start Googling, any of these things could be associated with Bray Wyatt, and that is what makes him so valuable to the company, is because you get people like myself. You get people like Ryan Satin, who also jumped down the rabbit hole, and a myriad of others. I don't know what people are doing on the water cooler these days. I've been off the last couple of days and nobody in my office watches wrestling. But as far as like the internet wrestling community, and I know we're a very vocal minority of the wrestling community, this is what people have been talking about. And this is the value that Bray Wyatt brings to WWE.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing what he's been able to do with just simple little things. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's another instant of WWE teaching its viewers to pay attention to everything around them, and you're gonna have a keen eye for little things, and it's something that kind of the AEW and the Elite have been doing with their product ever since, like, being the Elite. Little Easter eggs and little, you have to watch people's facial expressions to other people's words. So it's those little things that you have to pay attention to that makes it an investment as a viewer. So I like that. And I like that the way they have completely done this, and they've built up anticipation in just mere days, less than a week. In mere days, they have built up anticipation for this Friday SmackDown. So I know everybody's going to be having their alarms set for 9/23 on Friday. On 9/23 is going to be very interesting. Everyone, yeah, your gut should say it's Bray Wyatt. The only other person that you could allude that it's to is Karrion Kross, but he's already gone out on social media and said that he's not behind this, so stay tuned. So I'm going to be staying tuned, and I'm going to be ready for this Friday.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, man. It's like everybody wanted to jump on the Karrion Kross bandwagon because I believe White Rabbit had something to do with his Lucha Underground days, and everybody was hopping in on that. But I mean, I doubt that they would go through all this cloak and dagger for somebody that is already like re-debuted with the company. So for it to be Karrion Kross, that wouldn't make a ton of sense. Now, if they did something where, Karrion was involved in this in some way, shape, or form. I could see that. They did have the red circle around the hourglass. Hourglass, obviously, a figure for Karrion Kross, but I think people are diving too much into that there. WrestleVotes, you talked about that tweet earlier. Verbatim, what he said was, asked a source about the White Rabbit deal. Source said, while he expects it's Bray Wyatt, he said it is being withheld from everyone. WWE has been able to draw significant interest from this without it being a TV storyline, and they like to keep it as quiet as possible. If it's something like for Karrion Kross who's already there, I doubt you're going to great lengths to really kind of keep that from everybody. And this comes down to the other thing, and I'll get to you guys' comments here in a second, is you're doing something like this, knowing full well that the fans are going to immediately jump and think it's Bray Wyatt. You've had the Ariel Helwani interview where Triple H has talked about, possibly bringing Bray Wyatt back. You've had the reports that there have at least been discussions of bringing Bray Wyatt back. And then you had the most recent reports of negotiations have taken place. So if this is somebody else, if this is meant for somebody else, and this doesn't involve Bray Wyatt in one bit, shape, or form, WWE has an issue on his hands because the fans are immediately going to reject this through no fault of their own. Because I think it's important to remember, WWE has not teased Bray Wyatt. They have not promised Bray Wyatt. There is nothing that has been said about Bray Wyatt, the man himself. Everybody's going to jump on these Easter eggs. But if it isn't Bray Wyatt, WWE has to have something solid, something good, something so big and overblown and unexpected that the fans will be like, oh, it wasn't him, but we get this. Okay, great. Because if it isn't, if it's like, not to throw shade, but if it's like a Dexter Loomis level signing of somebody like that, and they're giving him this whole White Rabbit thing, people are going to revolt. And I think WWE, nothing that they can do about it, but it's like, how do you handle that situation? Knowing anytime you do something like this, people are immediately going to be hoping and praying it's Bray Wyatt. It kind of puts you behind the 8-ball a little bit.
I mean, they should be prepared for this. So I'm gonna go in with the thinking that the most likely person is Bray Wyatt. I'm not gonna be relatively that disappointed if it's not Bray Wyatt, because I don't get my hopes up for WWE. I need a few more years of Triple H to have my hopes up for these type of things. But if I'm going in thinking that it's Bray Wyatt and it winds up being, a former NXT talent, yeah, it is a little disappointing. If it winds up being Adam Rose returning with the White Rabbit, then we're in for a disappointment. I also wanted to note that September 23rd, 2019, The Fiend brutalized Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw. So is The Fiend coming back to feud with Braun again, to resume that feud that never got their conclusion back in 2020? Is that what he's coming back for? So just to put that out there, to see if the date meant any significance to his career. And that's the only kind of thing that really happened on September 23rd in Bray Wyatt's career.
Yeah, I know. I looked for his debut. I looked for The Fiend's debut, which obviously happened at SummerSlam. At least in-ring debut happened at SummerSlam. I was looking for something in that, 9/23. When did Bray get released? That happened in July. So I was literally hunting, until I found just those couple of things. Like I said, you had that one nut job who said the world was going to end on September 23rd, 2017. Noob saying, I thought it was supposed to end in 2012. Well, you see what happens here, Noob, is when the whack job predictions turn out to be false, because of course they do, then they just move the goalpost, right? So, it didn't happen in 2012. Now it's going to happen in 2017. No, it didn't happen. So now it's going to happen in 2027. It ain't going to happen then either, probably. At least I hope not. I'm enjoying life. Anywho, but
Rick Ucchino ruined it for us all, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember this date.
Go home. I fucked it up.
Remember this date, September 20th, 2022.
We got 5 years, everybody. Live it up. There we go. But that's how that always works. Queen saying, I think it's him, but I feel like we're just gonna get the lights out and the song on TV instead of during a commercial, another type of teaser, but I don't see him showing up on SmackDown. I would be perfectly fine with him showing up on SmackDown. I have no issue with that. I had somebody reach out to me on Twitter last night saying, why would they put him on SmackDown? Well, you put him on SmackDown because you want to increase ratings. You now have gotten so much buzz behind this. People are going to tune in maybe specifically at 9:23 on Fox on Friday to see what this is going to be. Now you have to reward them for tuning in. Now I'm not saying that this isn't going to be another teaser, because if you remember, it was several teases with the Firefly Funhouse characters before we actually saw the Fiend Bray Wyatt show up on TV. So could this just be another massive slow play that leads up to something? Totally possible. Something is going to happen on 9:23. I'm not guaranteeing that Bray Wyatt is showing up on the TV screen, because history says he's not just going to show up. But as to whether or not, to answer your question, we're getting the Fiend, if he comes back, I don't think we are. But this is, like I said, White Rabbit, purity, fresh starts. This is Bray Wyatt's MO. He comes up with something new, totally reinvents himself, and gets the WWE universe to go along with him. His Fireflies, they always follow wherever he goes, no matter what it is. Would I like to see the Fiend back? Yes, but with some tweaks, because that Fiend character was way too strong and created massive booking problems. So they would need to do some tweaks and things like that. But we will see. Let's see. I saw some other comments. Keith O'Toole, what if Bray returned as a new member of Judgment Day? No, I'm fine. I'm really fine without that. Let Bray fly on his own. He don't need to be the leader of Judgment Day. This is like the same people who wanted him to show up and be the new leader of Dark Order. Like, I'm really okay with this. Judgment Day is doing just fine on their own. Big Dominic got some big ass heat last night, didn't he? Whether it was
he did though.
Whether it was go away heat or not, man. The second they started,
not like go away heat, but yeah, they did get heat. And Finn and Damian was just so happy to hear the fans again.
Oh my goodness! Like again, they've actually made Dominic interesting. They're doing some things right with Judgment Day. I think throwing Bray into the mix, it would be like a bigger version of putting Ali in front of like Retribution, right? Like, it just like here's a spiritual leader to try to save this. I think they're doing fine with Judgment Day. I'd like to see them get some more clean big wins and eventually get a win over Edge as well, but they're doing just fine. I think that's fitting a square peg into a round hole. I think this is going to be something completely different. Bray is going to be on his own. Like I said, if they're going to put Bray with anybody, I think Karrion Kross does make some sense. But I think this man is going to be just fine, and we will all tune in 9:23 on 9:23.
Also,
not together.
Also, Dominic has made Judgment Day interesting. I mean, Judgment Day wasn't that interesting to me until Dominic Mysterio got involved and Rhea became a poppy. Once Rhea became a poppy and she feels like the leader of the group, I tend to enjoy Judgment Day a little bit more. Even though I will say those fans definitely sounded like that was go away.
Man, dude, like the second that they insinuated that Dom was like getting some, like, oh man, like immediately the horny nerd boys across the country just immediately turned on that man. And yeah, but it's nice that they're actually giving Dom some layers and something different. Like, new emo Dom is so much better than, hey guys, I'm Ray's son. You should like me because I'm Ray's son. They did 2 years of that horse shit. I was ready to see something different. They're giving us new emo Dom, and he's got his dominatrix, his queen, Rhea Ripley, carrying him in tow. Great. Love it. He wants to go out and party it up in San Jose with Damian Priest. Love it. Great. Give me more of that. Judgment Day is doing just fine right now. And they are a bigger focus of the show now than they were literally weeks ago. So that is good for everybody involved. I think Judgment Day is working out just fine. Again, they need to get
and they're not trying to be spooky goth kids. No, they're just trying to be goth kids that like the party, which I'm okay with because that's realistic for Damian and Rhea. So it just meshes well with everybody else.
And you know what? You know what else is interesting? The fact that looks like they're finally going to have a storyline for AJ Styles now. Involving the Judgment Day. You had that interesting backstage conversation between him and Finn Balor about how they've always been boys, have always had each other's backs, and now AJ, is he going to join Judgment Day? Is he not? Damian Priest has talked about for a long time. They'd love to get AJ in there. So Judgment Day has a lot of things going on with itself right now. They don't need Bray Wyatt literally gumming up the works. I think that would be just a terrible overall decision. I think people, they see factions, they see groups that are even slightly spooky, and it's like, oh, we got to throw Bray Wyatt in there. No, you don't. Let's see what Bray Wyatt can do on his own. He doesn't need a family. He doesn't need a faction. Now, whether or not they pair him back up with Alexa Bliss, I think that would be much more likely because she finds herself massively in limbo right now. At least got a main event last night against Bayley in San Jose where they kind of reminded everybody who she is, or at least who she was, because they have not had anything significant for her for quite some time now. But again, she did lose via distraction, which we'll talk about coming up here in a little bit. But let's dive into this, shall we?
It's time to answer the 5 count on the Bleav Podcast Network.
Triple H is like man, he's like Santa Claus for nerds like me who like big metal structures that are going to cause people to hurt themselves. He is giving us WarGames at Survivor Series. Love this decision. Could not love this decision more. And on top of that, something you called SP3 at Extreme Rules in Philadelphia, we are getting Fight Pit 3, which is Fight Pit 1 on the main roster. Matt Riddle, Seth Rollins. Which one are you more excited for here? That we're going to be getting 2 WarGames matches at Survivor Series, or the fact that we're getting Riddle and Rollins in Fight Pit 3?
I think WarGames going to Survivor Series instantly makes Survivor Series a must-watch event and gave Survivor Series a jolt of hype and buzz that it did not have 2 days ago after this announcement.
2 days, 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
I'm just saying 2 days ago. No, we've had 2016. 2016 is one of the greatest Survivor Series events of all time. You had the Goldberg squash on Brock Lesnar. You had a classic 5-on-5 men's matchup. Great 5 teams versus 5 teams elimination matchup that featured the Usos and the Bar. So there's been great Survivor Series. I'm just saying, as far back as just 2 days ago, I was not looking forward to Survivor Series. The people that bought tickets must have knew something that I didn't, because it sold out instantly, and I was confused on why it was sold out instantly, but it was because of Triple H being involved. They felt the anticipation. They've been seeing a better product on Mondays and Fridays, and they're like, you know what, let's get a ticket for Survivor Series. It's in a big town, it's in Boston, let's go out and see it. But having WarGames there, it just feels so fresh, so new on the main roster, and the options, you can kind of see it already that they can set up something for the Bloodline versus a team of baby faces, for Damage Control if they get more members, or Damage Control with maybe somebody like a duo like Ronda and Shayna from SmackDown versus a face team. So there's so many different ways they can go about it. My biggest questions are they going to do what they've been doing with the WWE WarGames matches, which is WWE style WarGames, which is 4-on-4? Or are they going to do the classic WarGame styles of 5-on-5? However, all that's being said about WarGames, I'm more excited for the Fight Pit because I can't see it being done anywhere else better. I seen WarGames be done better already this year in June at Blood and Guts, and already by Triple H's comments, I know there's not going to be any blood with these WarGames matches. So yeah, it'll be cool, it'll be exciting, it'll be a great match. It might steal the show, but I don't think it's going to be one of the best matches of the year for WWE. I don't know. They got to interest me. They got to get me going. But with the feud that's already been built with Riddle and Seth Rollins, this just seems like a natural progression of them going into the Fight Pit, and this is a perfect scenario to introduce this stipulation with someone that was in the first ever matchup, being Matt Riddle. I thought that this was just perfect. I called this being done before Clash at the Castle, so I'm glad it's being done at Extreme Rules, and it instantly makes me more interested in Extreme Rules. So they accomplish a few things. It's a natural progression of the Riddle-Rollins feud, which has been really well done, and it makes people want to see Extreme Rules. So I got to go with the Fight Pit right now.
I love, look, I have been known to tweet out Fight Pit all caps with 18,000 exclamation points several times in my past, which is probably why I don't have that many followers. But I am a huge fan of Fight Pit. I loved those first two matches, Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle, and then Thatcher also getting the win over Tommaso Ciampa. I thought both of those absolutely delivered. It's such a unique twist on the cage match where there's no escape. Literally you have to win by submission or TKO. It really kind of plays into Matt Riddle's MMA favor, right? Over Seth Rollins. So this is the perfect kind of matchup to where Riddle can kind of get that win back. And then hopefully they're done, because it feels like they're falling into the same pattern. While it's good and it's been good, it's falling into the same pattern with Seth Rollins now, where it's like, okay, he's going to do 3 matches with this guy stretched out over 4 months, and then he's going to do 3 matches with this guy stretched out over 4 months, and it feels like we're just kind of killing time until Cody comes back. But it's still very, very good. I'd like to see this be finito, and have both these guys move on to other things. Either that or they're killing time until Randy Orton comes back, and then you can do RK Bro again. So either way, it feels like they're just kind of delaying time, but this is a great way to freaking do it. I love the Fight Pit. I'm looking forward to this. For me, though, it's got to be WarGames over the other one because of what it's going to mean for Survivor Series. This is a show that I have said before they should have retired with The Undertaker, because it was tired, it was old, it didn't mean anything. This is a show that has literally killed title reigns. Look what it did to Big E's run with the WWE Championship. It's like he had like one successful win over Drew McIntyre, and then he loses to Roman Reigns, and then before you know it, he hasn't defended the belt in 2 months, and then he's dropping it at day 1.
That's not Survivor Series fault.
It's the brand versus brand, battle for brand supremacy.
Yeah, that's it. That's
what Survivor Series has been for so long now, which is why I'm
5 years.
That's a long ass time, all right? And it's literally squash storylines. It does, and the fact that the battle for brand supremacy doesn't make sense, especially coming off of the draft, which is typically in October, and then you do Battle for Brand Supremacy in November, and you have Team SmackDown, which 4 out of 5 were on freaking Raw 2 weeks ago, battling Team Raw, who 4 out of 5 were on SmackDown the week before. It's like, who gives a shit? Plus, in this world of Triple H, we got dudes bouncing around all over shows anyway. I don't care about that either. They all have their homes. Doesn't mean they can't go play on the road as well. So I'm not going to be one of these guys that's going to get all in a tizzy anytime somebody who's on SmackDown shows up on Raw. But let's not act like this is the one night of the year where Raw superstars and SmackDown superstars are going to meet. No, it's total bullshit. It's totally dumb. I've been over it for a long time now. The fact that Triple H said not only are we getting 2 WarGames matches, but they're going to be storyline driven. Ain't going to be this like battle of brand supremacy stuff. Still give me Gunther and Lashley, please. Like, please give me that. Like that. You want to have one battle for brand supremacy match? That's it. Other than that, yes, I think the Bloodline, if they wanted to go with the traditional 5-on-5, you could have that be the culmination of the Sami Zayn face turn, where you do the Bloodline, Roman, Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn, and then Zayn ends up costing the Bloodline the match against whatever myriad of baby faces you want to go with, whether it's Kevin Owens and whomever the hell else they're feuding with right now. Drew McIntyre could be in there. Braun Strowman could be in there. Who knows? Bray Wyatt could be in there at that point. There's a lot of space that we can get to. And then on the ladies' side, I think if you wanted to do just the 4-on-4, I think Damage Control with maybe Alexa Bliss, if you decided to do a heel turn and put her with Damage Control, maybe Becky Lynch is back at that point, and that can spark things off. There's a lot of different ways that they can go. And since it's storyline, you can then branch off the storyline and start building your matches for day 1 and start building your matches for the Royal Rumble and so forth and so forth. We're not that far off from Royal Rumble season, which means you got to start building your stuff now and getting pieces in place, so we're not throwing things together last minute like we have been for the last 37 WrestleManias. I'm really looking forward to this one. We do have another world title match that is coming up. The next one is not going to be at Extreme Rules. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. Crown Jewel. It is going to be Roman Reigns defending his WWE Universal Championship against the undefeated Logan Paul, SP3. Your thoughts on this one? Logan Paul in his third ever match getting a Universal title shot. They did this really great, well put together press conference. If there's one thing Triple H understands, it is today's media and knows how to get coverage and get buzz, which is why Logan Paul is in this match in the first damn place. Do you have an issue with Logan getting this shot in only his third match ever?
No, absolutely not. This makes total sense to me. This is kind of similar to the booking of Ronda Rousey back in 2018. She made her debut at the Royal Rumble. Then she had her in-ring debut at WrestleMania. And then her second match in WWE was at Money in the Bank against Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. Why did they do it so fast? Is because that was the biggest challenger, the biggest name they could give Nia Jax at the time. This immediately made more people engaged and interested in the Raw Women's division. And it was at the height of where Ronda Rousey was at during her run in WWE, because WWE tends to have the law of diminishing returns greater than any wrestling promotion in the history of ever. So Logan Paul, he is at his peak right now. He had a fantastic performance at SummerSlam in his first singles matchup. So his second singles match out, his name is as high as it's going to be. 30 million followers on social media, all the outside eyes that he's going to bring in at a time where his brother is going to be versus Anderson Silva. Like, this is the best possible time to get this done and to do this. I have no issue, no problem for it with whatsoever, and especially with what we heard last week with the report that WWE is having in a difficult situation where they want to have two champions by the time we get to WrestleMania 39, but they don't want Roman Reigns to lose. They want to protect Roman Reigns up until WrestleMania 39 because they want him to be one of the champions when he versus The Rock in the main event. So you just need people for Roman to lose to. So I think if you just look at it like that, if you have an issue, if you hate Logan Paul, just look at it like this. He's just someone for Roman Reigns to beat. So just think of it like that. You have no issue with it whatsoever.
Look, how many times this year have we said, who the hell's left? Right? Like, Roman has been champion for 2 years. Coming up with fresh, new storylines and challengers is difficult at this point. Logan Paul checks all those boxes. And if you're a guy who hates Logan Paul, I'm sorry to break it to you, objectively watch his matches. He's good. He has taken to this like a duck to water. He is a natural. He is a great athlete, and he knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to tell a story in the ring. And this is one of those situations where he's going to get over in defeat, because so many people are going to look at this and go, oh, on paper, Roman Reigns should squash Logan Paul. And yes, that should be the case. But if Logan comes in there as the scrappy underdog and he's getting his ass kicked at the beginning, like he should be, and starts making that comeback and then starts putting on a hell of a show and gets the crowd behind him like he did at SummerSlam against The Miz, that is what WWE is looking for. What I don't want to see in this match is Roman Reigns getting help to beat Logan Paul. That should not be a thing. Roman Reigns should not need assistance from the Usos, from Solo Sikoa, from Sami Zayn, and nobody. If anything, somebody should mess up and actually, like, Sami should give a haluva kick to Roman instead of Logan Paul to almost give the win to Logan. Like, Roman should be the guy that gets shit thrown on top of him that he has to fight through and still come out on top in this, because Logan is such a big underdog. It does Roman no favors whatsoever to get help to beat Logan Paul. You know what I'm saying? Like, this he gets help too much. This should be one that he wins clean as a sheet, but you can still get Logan over in the process.
I would love for it to be that the Usos and Sami are trying to help him, but we get a disagreement between Zayn and Jay goes to super kick Zayn and he hits Roman instead. Just stir the pot even more, because people want to rush way too fast to this Sami Zayn babyface turn. We need the moments where it looks like they're going to turn on Jay. They're going to choose Sammy over Jay. That's the moments that I live for right now on WWE television.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? So, like, yeah, whether it's a haluva kick that hits him, whether it's Jay hitting him with a super kick, imagine him getting laid out, and then Logan tosses the guys out, goes up to the top rope, does his little shimmy, lands that big ass frog splash. Could you imagine the reaction? At least I would hope, because this is a Saudi Arabia crowd. But could you imagine the type of reaction you would get on that Roman Reigns, that classic Roman Reigns last second kick out when everybody in the world thinks Logan Paul's about to shock everybody? That's the kind of stuff you build toward. Roman doesn't need help to beat Logan Paul, but if Logan can almost steal one because the bloodline just got too cocky, I absolutely love that idea. Ozzy actually calling the shot here and says Logan Paul will be victorious over Roman Reigns. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I put that at about a 0.009% chance, but I have been wrong before. Mark saying Logan is the right choice, possibly the biggest draw in WWE other than Roman himself. Look, there's a reason why Logan is in this match. He has real mainstream appeal, mainstream draw. His podcast gets the type of views that SP3 and I can only dream of, right? Like that's what we all strive to be. We would love to have just a normal talk show that gets 1 million views. By the way, give us the thumbs up. So hopefully maybe one day we can get to there with us. It's a slow climb up that hill and we're working, damn it. We're working. But yes, there's a reason why Logan Paul is in this match. And it's because he's popular, but it's also because he's damn good. So I think a lot of good things are going to be able to come out of that. Going back here, Mark saying WarGames over everything literally made me want to watch Survivor Series with no matches announced other than WarGames. It's an attraction. I don't know, because you had those reports that Vince didn't like WarGames. I don't know why. It's just one of those weird things. I mean, this was
because it's not his creation. Vince don't like anything that he didn't invent.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Frantic World asking, is NXT still going to have WarGames? Don't know. Don't care. Just the fact that we're actually getting like main roster stars in WarGames is enough for me. I really don't care about what NXT is doing right now. Although,
damn, Rick. Tell them how you really feel. You just crapped all over the NXT fan. I'm sorry, NXT fans who are watching the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. I watch on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time, only on USA. Sheesh.
You cut me off. I'm more intrigued now that we're going back to regular NXT, which again, that's it's a tape delay show tonight, but hey, it's the first one in the new NXT era, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. I just couldn't watch NXT 2.0 on a regular basis anymore. So we'll see how things adjust here moving forward. We are going to have 2 women's championship matches at Extreme Rules. Liv Morgan in an Extreme Rules match defending against Ronda Rousey. Bayley and Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. No stipulation on that one yet. SP3 today on 9/20/2022 at 3 p.m. on the dot. What are you feeling? None, one, or both women's championships should be exchanging hands at Extreme Rules.
Both. Book it, Dano. Book it. It's over. Bayley, it's time to give Damage Control the golden treatment, the golden role models treatment. You got Dakota and Io as the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Bayley defeating Bianca Belair like she should have last year. It just feels like the crowning achievement, the crowning moment, and then you could have Damage Control kind of be the group that the rest of the women on both brands are chasing. So I would like that a lot. And as far as Ronda Rousey, I mean, it's clear as day, Ronda Rousey is the most over woman on SmackDown. Sure. Sorry, Liv Morgan fans. For all you Liv Morgan fans, was like, she never got her program with Charlotte, and Charlotte's coming back so soon. No one cares. No one cares. We don't care anymore. Liv Morgan is the heel in this situation. Did you see how heelish she came off in that sit-down interview?
I mean, if it's heelish to defend yourself,
I beat you. She didn't say anything about her. She literally put words in Ronda Rousey's mouth. Ronda Rousey didn't even get a chance to answer the question. from Kayla Braxton. And Liv was like, "Oh, I know you're gonna say you respect me, but you actually think that you don't like me and you don't think I deserve the
and then
SmackDown
Ronda
Women's
said she
Championship."
doesn't have respect for her. So again,
Yeah, she's like
respect.
she admitted what she said, but you put the words in her mouth because she was like, I see it upsets you, so yeah, I did say it. I've been there plenty of times. I've had people put words in my mouth, and I just be like, you know what? Since it pisses you off so much, yeah, I did say that. So I understand how Ronda, you don't have to explain yourself to Rick Ucchino. Both women's championships need to turn hands. Liv Morgan ain't working as SmackDown Women's Champion as in this regime, and Bianca Belair is working, but I just feel like Bayley and Damage Control are the more important group that you need to get the win here.
I'm going to go back to a statement I said earlier where, it's still September, but at this point, with WrestleMania season right around the corner, you got to start figuring out what your marquee matchups are going to be, and you got to start building toward that. I think conventional wisdom says it's going to be Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles, assuming everybody's healthy, right? So how do you get there? Does that match need a championship? If that match does need a championship, then you got to decide how you want to get there, because both of those ladies are on opposite brands right now. The other match I would guess right now is probably something along the lines of Charlotte and Bianca, right? I think that makes a ton of sense for Bianca. She's beaten Sasha at WrestleMania to win a championship. She's beaten Becky to win a championship at WrestleMania. The last 4 horsewomen that she's never pinned is Charlotte. The storyline is there. And I think that's a big win that you could give Bianca at WrestleMania 39 again and really solidify her as somebody on that 4 horsewomen level that not a lot of women have broken into, right? So I think that's the direction you got to go. So, okay, you got to figure out how to get those 2 matchups together. Wherever the draft is, that could kind of orchestrate some things. You could utilize the Royal Rumble as well. For me, if I'm looking at this, I would have Charlotte be the one to take the SmackDown Women's Championship off of Liv Morgan. I could dive into it. I don't have a whole lot of time because I know we're running out. I would have Charlotte be the one to take it off of Liv Morgan. I would have Bayley beat Bianca, and then you could have a returning Becky beat Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship and figure out how to get Ronda to Becky and Bianca to Charlotte and move that way. So right now I'm going to say 1, but there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of options that you could go if you're WWE. So it really kind of opens them up. But right now on this date, I'm feeling 1. I'm not ready to pull the plug on Liv Morgan yet. I'm not.
That's a convoluted way to get there. You cash in, you cash in while it's at its highest, and at its highest is Ronda Rousey's popularity. So you cash in on that, have her win, and then Charlotte can come back and you can resume that, because that's the feud they really want to do. They really want to do
that's
that.
The feud Vince wanted to do. That's the feud Vince wanted to do.
I bet you Triple H still wants to do it. These are 2 women that Triple H loves. He loves Ronda Rousey. He put his credibility on the line to make Ronda Rousey look good in her first ever matchup. And Charlotte Flair he's called her before the greatest women's wrestler in WWE history. So if you don't think that he wants to do the match and prove he can do it better than his father, then I don't know if y'all know Triple H. Y'all should get to know this Paul Levesque guy.
I mean, look, if you ask me who I think is winning at Extreme Rules, which, yes, as Safet says, the betting odds say Ronda is the favorite. I'm just saying that's not the direction that I would necessarily go. Again, I'm not ready to pull the plug on Liv Morgan, but I can't fault you if you feel like it's ready to go in another direction. Frantic World saying Liv Morgan is done as SmackDown Women's Champion, just ended. Again, I'm not ready to pull the plug, but I don't know. I'm built different than a lot of people, obviously.
I love Rick because he is such a loyal fan. It doesn't matter if there is 8,000 people outside telling him that it's raining and they're getting wet. He will tell you. If Becky Lynch told him it ain't raining, if Liv Morgan said that he don't need an umbrella, he going out there butt ass naked and he don't care. He don't care.
That's an image that nobody wants. Absolutely nobody wants. Look, people are allowed to think what they want to think. If I was the booker, I wouldn't pull the plug on Liv Morgan because, again, I can map out a road that makes sense. And if I had time, I would get into it.
You just mapped out just her going to one other person. That's it.
Yes.
There's no other reason to hold Liv Morgan to hold on to the SmackDown Women's Championship.
I didn't say that Charlotte should be the next challenger for Liv Morgan.
Who should be the next challenger then? When does Charlotte win the championship then?
You could do day one. You could do day one. You could do it after.
So you expect, this man is out. This man is on something. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You expect them to come up with 3 months of storyline that is interesting and intriguing enough to maintain the section of the fans that are just like, yo, take the title off of Liv Morgan. Just take the title off.
Again,
you expect them
as I said at the top of the hour, the internet community is a very vocal minority. SP3, Liv Morgan still has her fans out there.
But are you watching the show each week?
Yes, I am.
Where her popularity was at Money in the Bank, it's down now. It's down now.
Yes, it is. That's fully based off of her booking. So instead of trying to fix the booking, you want to just say, fuck it, screw it. We fucked up.
That has
Let's
nothing
bury
to
Liv
do
Morgan now.
With the online, with the internet wrestling community, with Twitter. I'm not talking about Twitter. I'm talking about the reaction she gets from the fans. That's all I've been saying about this match at Extreme Rules is that right now, Ronda is here with the popularity, and Liv Morgan was here at Money in the Bank, but she is going down.
You want to punish Liv Morgan for shitty WWE booking. They screwed her up. So now you just want to say, screw it, let's take the title off of her and put it back on Ronda. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I'm just saying that when a title reign is not working with the fans that come and pay money in the building every single week, if they are not treating your champion like it's the first most important person in a division, if it's the second most important person in the division, I wouldn't even put Liv Morgan in the top 5. We did a whole fantasy women's draft, drafting 50 different women. Liv Morgan didn't get picked. Like, I'm just saying, Liv Morgan is not
on your channel. We didn't do that.
I'm talking about True Hill Heat, but I'm just saying in general, Liv Morgan is not popular enough, has not delivered any memorable promo center title win or matches for her to maintain being the champion for 3 more months. That's what I'm saying.
Agree to disagree. Let's see.
No. Give me an example, please. No. You can't tell me to agree to disagree. If you disagree, that might mean that you know of a great promo and a great match Liv Morgan has had in this reign that makes her deserve to hold the title the rest of the year.
No, what I'm telling you is this reign has not been good, but it has not been her fault. She's not the one who books the damn matches. So you people are complaining about her run, which she has had very little to do with as far as a booking standpoint. And then you're going to tell me, well, it ain't working, so let's put it on somebody else because WWE fucked it up. How's that fair to Liv? That's what I'm saying. How's that fair to Liv Morgan, who has not even had a chance to really get out of the gates with this damn thing based on terrible fucking booking? And now she's facing Ronda Rousey for a 3rd damn time. They could give her a definitive win over Ronda and actually turn this thing around, but that would actually take some work. It would actually take some patience. You could actually develop storylines for Liv Morgan, but you got people like SP3 over here saying, fuck that, that's too damn hard. We can't come up with stuff for Liv Morgan for 3 months, so let's just cut her out and put her on Ronda Rousey.
I'm saying you, Liv Morgan fan, don't know what to come up with her outside of this feud. I literally gave you the opportunity. I was like, who does she verse next? Got no answer. We got 3 months to book until your presumably Charlotte match that all you Liv Morgan fans want so much. Literally, Steve said it best. If Liv retains, the only next opponent that anyone can think of that's fresh and interesting and that will make people want to watch the next show is Charlotte Flair. So we're literally just holding on for this Liv Morgan reign that obviously is not working. I'm not saying they can't come up with stuff to make it work. If something ain't working, it's time to regroup, go with the hot commodity, which is Ronda Rousey right now, and then regroup with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan will get another chance. She is young, she works hard, she never gives up. She will get another chance. This reign ain't working though.
I don't know when she gets another chance. I would have said Lacey Evans a few months ago would have been a good one, but they have completely cooled her off and not done anything with her. Then again, you could turn Liv Morgan heel, and then maybe you work in Sasha and Naomi if they come back. You got Raquel Rodriguez, who could be an interesting title program. You could do something with Sonya Deville. Hell, you could do something with Xia Li or Shotzi. You haven't done anything with
you
them.
You ain't named one thing that was interesting. Sonya Deville, she's dead. She's not. The reason why she gets her title matches on TV is because people wouldn't be interested in a pay-per-view matchup because they haven't done much with her interesting character when she was an interesting character in 2020 before she lost the loser leaves WWE storyline. Then she came back. We thought she was going to be interesting in the authority figure storyline. She had an interesting feud a little bit with Naomi. And then after that, she just became every other authority figure that wrestles. So they killed that. She's not over right now, so that's the reason why her title matches don't become on pay-per-view. So if you realistically
you run into the same damn problem then. Okay, put the belt back on Ronda. We going right back to Charlotte. That's the same answer. Who's next? Charlotte.
No. Ronda Rousey has the most interesting storyline going on in the women's division on SmackDown right now. Her and Shayna Baszler. You build to that. You find a way to build to that. You either do a triple threat next with Liv and Shayna so you could tease that a little bit more. You could put her in a tag team with Shayna and tease them being a duo together. But long term, day one or Royal Rumble is Shayna Baszler right now. It's not even Charlotte Flair. You literally can hold the Charlotte Flair matchup and try to do it better than your daddy did at WrestleMania. You literally can hold on to that because this Shayna Baszler Ronda Rousey storyline is better than anything that Liv Morgan will give us, even the Charlotte Flair.
You just chastised me for saying, okay, we hold off Charlotte until day one. Your next challenger for Ronda Rousey after Liv Morgan is Shayna Baszler that you're saying hold off until day one of Royal Rumble. So what do you do with Ronda Rousey between now and then?
Because I'm booking the whole rest of the year. Ronda Rousey beats Liv Morgan at Extreme Rules. She then would go into Crown Jewel. You do the triple threat there. You do Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, and Shayna Baszler. You could do a little tease in there. You could then do a Survivor Series elimination matchup with Ronda and Shayna on opposite teams, on the same team, any which way. This is all about building up this rivalry because this is the most interesting thing going on SmackDown. And then you got a whole month where you could do Liv and Ronda one more time. You could do Charlotte on TV on the Christmas week, SmackDown, Ronda and Charlotte on TV because you haven't done that yet. You've only done premium live event matches. Then you go to day one, and day one you do Shayna and Ronda for the first time, and then Royal Rumble you could turn back and do a submission matchup. So I just built 4 months when I asked you the question like 30 minutes ago, and you still haven't told me who versus Liv Morgan if she returns this damn title because you don't know anything interesting for Liv Morgan as champion because Liv Morgan has not been interesting as champion. When a reign ain't working, you cut bait.
What you just gave me was a series of rematches, and then, we're going to have Shayna, who's going to be the big challenger, who, by the way, lost clean to Liv Morgan. We're going to have her lose again in a triple threat match, and then have her lose again at day one Royal Rumble.
Liv's going to get pinned. Liv's going to get pinned in that triple threat. It's totally fine. Liv can get pinned. She's done. Get her out of there. It's totally fine. It's all about
someone who hates rematches. You just booked me 3 months worth of rematches. That's what you booked me.
When did they do the triple threat with Liv, Ronda?
That's the only fresh one. You're talking about doing Ronda and Liv 4
When did they do
Ronda and Charlotte again?
When did they do a Survivor Series elimination matchup with Ronda and Shayna ever?
I'm talking about title.
You're talking about
title matches.
One of the matches that I named in this whole 4-month storyline of Ronda and Charlotte.
You said Liv and Charlotte. That's what you said. Outside of putting in Shayna Baszler, who just lost the title match, clean as a sheet to Liv. Other than that, you said Charlotte and Ronda, which are matches that we have already seen.
I said Charlotte and Ronda one time on TV because I made.
And then you're talking about doing Liv again.
I said on TV. I literally said on TV. I'm not putting that on pay-per-view ever again. But you put the matches that have drawn on pay-per-view or have drawn eyes on pay-per-view, you put them on TV during the holiday season. I literally booked the TV as well. I asked you 30 minutes ago, give me one interesting challenger for Liv Morgan after Ronda Rousey before Charlotte Flair, and you named Sonya fucking Deville.
So we had a lot of distraction finishes on Monday Night Raw last night. I think we had the opening match ended in a distraction finish. We had the second match ended in a distraction finish. We had the main event ended in a distraction finish. I think there was another distraction finish in there, SP3. Is Triple H getting too happy? Number 4 here on the 5 count, by the way. I'd continue that argument, but we're way over on time, and I know you got your other job you got to do. How many distraction finishes are too many, SP3?
I think we reached too many after the the second match on the show. When we did back-to-back distraction finishes, I was like, is this gonna be the theme for the show? And sure enough, 2 hours later, I was like, yeah, this does feel like the theme for the show. The show was really good because it had really good wrestling and it was very wrestling heavy. But when you have to depend on distraction finishes so much, it tends to stick out, and it definitely did last night.
They all made sense, right? Like Riddle costing Rollins, which was a great opening match for the United States Championship, had some stuff in there we haven't really seen before. We don't get to see too often. I thought Lashley's counter for the curb stomp was spectacular, where he's just like, bitch, you ain't gonna push me down. I'm too damn strong for this crap. I loved that. Anytime a spear gets turned into a pedigree, loved that as well. Great match. I did feel a little bit cheated, even though it does make sense for Riddle to get involved. So then you turn around and it makes sense for Rollins to get involved with that match with the Judgment Day later on. Bayley getting a distraction win over Alexa Bliss with, damage control right there. Again, it all makes sense, but man, let's space them out. Just a little bit. It's okay for people to get clean wins every once in a while. It's fine. Just a little bit. Space them out just a little bit. Last night, it was a bit too much. And last but not least, let's do a quick little preview here for Arthur Ashe. Tomorrow, you will be there. New York, New York. Of course, the main event is for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Everybody's picking their favorite to walk out of there with the championship. But there is a running theory here, SP3. A running theory that they may actually use that Casino Battle Royale poker chip a la Money in the Bank, and that Mr. MJF might wait until there's a definitive winner tomorrow night. He has said on the microphone, anytime, anywhere of my choosing, I get a title match. So let's say there's about, 4 minutes left in the show. Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, whoever, wins the match, walks out with the championship. There's a big celebration. All of a sudden, MJF's music hits. He comes down to the ring. He cashes in his poker chip. And he beats the holy hell out of whatever is left of the current champion, pins him, walks out as the AEW World Champion. What would be your reaction tomorrow night if MJF finds a way to walk out as the AEW World Champion tomorrow?
I hope I am the Undertaker guy, the Undertaker streak ending guy, and I'm just like in the crowd, like I'm gonna be so ecstatic because it's in New York. New York's own. Every time MJF makes an entrance and I'm there live, I'll be like, New York, New York. They know he's from New York. He's from Long Island, places I don't spend a lot of too much time in, but he's from New York regardless. This would be the perfect place to do it, although I don't think they will. I'm very interested in his terminology and the words that he's been using, talking about if he'll cash it in, if he'll not, at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So it's very, very interesting.
They haven't done a whole lot of press for Arthur Ashe. Despite efforts by many. But the one guy who has been around has been MJF. So I think it's Tony Khan and MJF have been doing the bigger media shows, but MJF does a thing with Ariel Helwani, and he's breaking down everything that he's done. I do find it interesting that a guy who is not on the card, this is a big stacked card, and one of the guys who's not on the show is the one doing media leading up to this. So I do find that to be interesting, and sometimes that means something. Sometimes it doesn't. Oftentimes I feel like if somebody's going to be doing media rounds, they're going to be doing something big on the show. I have literally interviewed Liv Morgan before, and then she was pulled from the pay-per-view. So it doesn't always mean something. I get a feeling we're getting something big is happening tomorrow night. I just got this feeling in my gut. I don't think Moxley or Danielson is walking away with this. I would love this. I think MJF was the direction that was going to go. I think he was the guy that was set to beat CM Punk in the first damn place. If they do decide to do this, I think Mox needs to be the guy that wins the match, and MJF takes it off of Moxley. You've already kind of teased tension between those two guys. You can have Mox win the title. I don't want Bryan Danielson's first run as AEW champion to be all like 3 minutes. So if they do that,
I do. That's perfect, Bryan, and that's something that Bryan would even want himself. He would not want to hold the AEW World Championship, but I think it would be nice for him to win it. I think he would love to win it, but to hold it, I think that would create his place in this main event scene, because I feel like Moxley winning and then versing, MJF cashing in and versing him later down the road, that's too simple. You have Danielson win, because that makes Danielson and Moxley 1-1 in AEW. So that creates the opportunity to do the third matchup between them. But you also put MJF in the situation where he cashes in on Danielson, because the issue between Moxley and MJF is already established. You don't need him to cash in to create a situation, but you do need him to cash in on Danielson to create that issue.
See, you can sell me. All right. You can sell me. And I think you just did. And I am a sucker for symmetry, right? So like, what happened when CM Punk dropped the Ring of Honor World Championship? They put it on Bryan Danielson. What happens in 2014 when Punk walks away from WWE? They end up putting the World Championship on Bryan Danielson. CM Punk gets hurt in AEW here in 2022. What could happen? They could be putting the World Championship on Bryan Danielson. I'm a sucker for history repeating itself. I'm a sucker for symmetry. You might, man. See, now you got me wanting to see Bryan Danielson win it and be the one that gets pinned. Like, it would suck, but I do agree with you. I do think he would actually push for something like that, because that is classic Danielson. I know there are people out there who are initially going to think the same way that I did. Oh, no, he deserves better than that. People are going to remember it. At the end of the day, people will remember it if it happens. Either way. I would be fine with it, by the way. I don't think I would be mad if this happens.
Plus, it's 1 year to the day since his in-ring debut in AEW. So for him to be in the main event, winning the World Championship 1 year after his classic matchup with Kenny Omega, I think that would also mean something to him.
All right, guys, we are way over on time. I really wish I would have gotten to more of your comments than I did. We do have the Battle Royal on Rampage, as Steven brings up, saying a winner gets a title shot. So I think actually getting the chip off of MJF also tomorrow night, and then clearing the way to where we have, a champion, and we do have one challenger. I think having technically two number one contenders kind of convolutes things a little bit, which is why I wasn't a big fan of the Battle Royal being named. But if you have MJF cash in and win, and then the Battle Royal, I think that would be interesting if a member of the firm wins that title shot, and now they go up against MJF on retainer, like who has them on retainer. I think that could be an interesting story there, but there's a lot of different ways that they could go with it.
Wheeler Yuta. Keep it going with the Blackpool Combat Club versus MJF. Keep it going.
Love it. All right, SP3, good spirited debate. Love it. Tell people where they can follow you, find your show you got coming up this weekend. By the way, programming note, we won't be doing Thursday. Scheduling conflict Thursday night. Obviously, SP3 is at Arthur Ashe in New York on Wednesday night, so we're going to push things back to another live show, 2:15 on Friday. How does that sound? Everybody good with that? Yeah, give me Danhausen, but he's just going to get squashed again, MCAS. Like, Danhausen will win, and then MJF will, punch him in the throat and pin him, and that's just what Danhausen does. But SP3, where can people find your show, all your stuff? Plug it. Do what you do.
Twitter machine at True Hill SP3 TRUHEEL. HEEL SP3. And also True Hill Heat is the YouTube channel. Go over, check that out. Got the NXT watch along NX3 tonight. We got Elite Heat, our AEW Dynamite watch along on Wednesday night. And join me and Jimmy Macaram on Thursday, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with AE Ramble reviewing AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. If you want to hear my first thoughts on my live reaction from the show.
Sounds good. You can follow me at Rick Ucchino. And of course, make sure to give us a thumbs up on this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Closing in on 500. And again, as soon as we hit the 500, one of our lucky subscribers will win $100 to either WWE or AEW shop. Your choice. On us. Get some swag. Spread the word because we got to get to 500 subscribers first. That is my end of the year goal. Thank you guys so much for the support. We will see you Friday, 2:15, breaking down everything that happens and any other news that goes down. We are expecting another update on the whole Bray Wyatt situation from Sean Rossap from Fightful.com. So make sure to give a shout out to our friends over at Fightful Select who do fantastic work. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast brought to you by Bet Online. Take care, guys.